Questions from the audience?
Wait for the mic, please. It's on. Go ahead, Jennifer. Go ahead.
You can address them to an individual.
Shirley, may I say, I think it'd be useful for people to identify themselves when they ask questions.
And would you mind standing so the camera can see you? I'm sorry, thank you.
I'm John McManus of Grade the News, a effort in the San Francisco Bay Area to do for news what Consumer Reports does for toaster ovens. I'm wondering, this is a question for the whole panel, if you are concerned that if you really do put the news under tight scrutiny so that people do see perhaps its venality and its difficulties, whether that might diminish interest in becoming journalists, whether it might damage the number of majors. Because as a teacher of journalism, I've discovered that if I adopt a critical perspective towards the news and how it's made, some people will say, well, why should I devote my career to something that's not as glossy as I had hoped it would be? You may discourage majors, you may lose friends in the industry, you may not get a newspaper company, not that they ever were very generous, but to endow a building or to perhaps even supply adjunct professors.
You know, we're finding that the number of journalism majors is growing really remarkably fast. It does not fit what we know about the state of journalism.
Yeah, I would just say that, you know, the virtually complete discrediting of the legal and medical professions has not cut down on applications to law school or medical school, nor has, you know, the fact that the public, about 10% of the public has confidence in Congress, has not cut back on the number of people wanting to run for Congress. So I think actually it might introduce a constructive element into...
I also think that we have to remember that this generation is completely embedded in the digital media and in all kinds of networking aspects of information and news. So the question is really how to capitalize on that, and I think this kind of a news literacy curriculum breaks it down, makes it much more exciting and challenging. I think it's actually gonna be a sort of version of the Jon Stewart effect, but really within the classroom. So I expect this to actually increase journalism as a sort of attractive challenge.
And I would say whatever it does, so be it. I mean, we are universities, and we are pursuing the truth and knowledge, and whatever comes out of that and the sifting and winnowing comes out of it, you know, and those shifts occur over time.
But maybe it would be a good thing if there were slightly fewer journalism majors for a while. I mean, maybe the market, you know, needs to make that adjustment.
I think it will, actually.
Okay, another question. Could you stand and identify yourself?
Hi, my name is Rita Marie Murphy. I'm an educator at Long Island High School. I teach global studies, which is 9th grade, and government, which is seniors. There was recently a hate crime in my community. Hopefully you do not recognize what the hate crime was, because it's embarrassing, and I don't want to be a representative of my district. I'm a private citizen, so I just want to go back to a job Monday. My question relates to character education. We are a reflection of what we see in the world, and there's a responsibility. People say, well, why do all these horrible things happen? Look at what we're inundating our youth with: video games, television, film, and also the news. I know that I have a childlike naivety, but I hold on to that because I do believe in the power of committed citizens. I do believe we can change the world for the better. And in my own community, recently, I'm going to share a personal story with you, I'm sorry. I teach 9th grade. I was teaching about Bushido and samurai warriors. Children do not know what honor is. No idea. No idea what respect is. They're struggling to make meaningful connections with this. Recently, a town road was not plowed. A student drove off that road, hit a tree, almost died. Another high school senior was driving down the road by chance to pick up his sister, who ironically dated the victim. Calls his mother to say, there's a car in the woods, I don't know what's going on, I'm gonna go check. He finds the student who would have died of freezing to death. A tree went through the car, he had 7 different contusions in his brain, his legs were crushed, he's trying to regain the ability to walk. He was a scholarship recipient for lacrosse. Now he may not be able to walk at graduation, that's our goal. This student, a baseball player, stayed with him, called the police. The police investigated him as homicide because 2 students, one got veered off the road. It must be bad kids. Medicaid covers a drunk driver who the same night got into a car accident. This family doesn't have Medicaid. They're struggling to find the means to get him rehabilitated. Where is the news story representing the local community hero? No one wants to listen because my community has been labeled the hate crime community, where there's violence and the kids are awful. I asked the presenters on the panel, at what point do we ask our journalists to say, well, what kind of community do you want to live in? What kind of community do you want to show the world? And then how can you say, why are there so many horrible things happening? We have a responsibility to represent the good, as much as that might not be newsworthy. Over the summer, they had news reports, someone got hit by a car, everyone looked, no one did anything. Is that who we want to become as a world, as a nation? I really don't want to see that happen in my own school, but I can only do so much. And the news media has that power to reach the masses. Who develops the character standards? Who develops the values? And how do we communicate them? So I'm sorry, it's not really a question, but.
Sandy, do you want to take that one as a former journalist?
Well, you know, it does strike me that you're speaking some very essential and elementary truths, and that a lot of people feel the way you do. And the question is, how can we take that sort of legitimate and understandable disgust, really, and try to find a creative way of dealing with it? Look, you know, kids are going to play video games, and there are going to be these trends in any culture that you can't just sort of deploring it is not going to solve anything. You can still, I mean, entitled to our own opinions. We can deplore things, but we have to find some way to understand and move on from some of these things. But I think it's good for people who are teaching journalism and people who are editors and producers to hear what you're saying with some regularity, because it is that is ultimately you are ultimately a consumer of this product, and you're uncomfortable, and people need to care about that and figure out what to do with it. I myself think that one of the issues here is that we, in this as in so many other areas, we tend to believe that America, the exceptional nation, has all the answers for these things, and has you know, it's just a matter of tweaking a little bit here and there. American journalism is better than journalism anywhere in the world. We may still have the freest press in the world. I'm not 100% sure about that, but there's a lot we could learn from the way journalism is being practiced in other parts of the world, and including on a community level, community radio in some parts of the world, things like that. One of the things we're doing at Goucher College, we are the only college in the country that's requiring study abroad of every student in order to graduate. It can be a brief period or a longer period, but just to try to introduce some perspective. I mean, we say that the main purpose of that is just for everyone to come back with some notion of something that other people might be doing better than Americans are, and that we could learn from.
Okay,
and it strikes me that might be true of what you're talking about.
Hi, my name is Claudia Ritchie. I'm teaching at Georgetown University, but I'm on sabbatical from SUNY Albany, where we have a journalism program, a major. I happen to be here with my 22-year-old daughter who just graduated summa cum laude. At breakfast this morning over USA Today, she said to me, "Mom, Jon Stewart is a journalist. I don't care what you say." She's tuning in tonight to see the latest in this. And I realize she's a very bright young woman. There's nothing I can do to dissuade her at this point. I think we need to start very young. I mean, middle school, to my mind, would not be too young, because I think these kids really, their minds are shaped so quickly and so powerfully by the digital information age. Someone I was chatting with before during the break said his 3-year-old daughter is signing on to a couple of sites, and she knows because of the drop-down. I don't know that, I mean, at the point, my students in college and now my graduate students at Georgetown have very fixed ideas. I'm not sure we can wait. But I do want to thank Howie and Stony Brook for this incredible conference, because it's just been really stimulating and interesting.